This is Visual Frameworks 1211 Project 3. Problems I encountered are things that were harder than I thought would be. This is the first week I actually used the I/O simulator and realized there were some styling issues that needed to change in order for my form to show up properly in the mobile phone. The problem I experienced was with my field set width. Since I have two field sets, and you would think having the same style applied to both would be the same if you use percentages. That's a false assumption. Instead of fitting the width of the browser window, it would auto resize according to the content within the field set, making the top field set much smaller than the bottom field set due to the fact that the bottom field set contained the comment box, which was rather wide. I also had problems when I discovered that even though edit was set to overwrite the data in local storage, it was not overwriting the data in the browser cache, so my local storage only showed the data once upon saving, but my browser window was displaying multiple times for each edit. I discovered after testing my computer browser that going to the I/O simulator that my date regular expression had to be changed because the I/O simulator shows date names and not numbers, and I had my regex set up to do month, date, and year, 2-digit numbers. Things I discovered were easier than I thought they would be. Really nothing was easier than I thought, but with Mr. Gibson's assistance this week I finally found where my error was that was causing issues last week with my select form data. It was displaying null on the display page, and that was finally fixed this week. Why is it a good idea to validate your forms? It's best to validate your forms to ensure you get the proper format and the proper data is entered in your local storage or database. It also helps to keep people from making simple mistakes like typos or skipping over a necessary field. It keeps consistency within the database or wherever the data is stored. What kinds of validation messages are appropriate for your application? My application has multiple fields, but I required first and last name, email address, telephone number, state, zip, type of special occasion, and date of special occasion. For those fields that I just didn't want a null value, I said please enter field name here. And for those fields that required some sort of validation to match a certain syntax of a field, I said please enter a valid field name here. And here's some examples. First and last name should always be required, so you know who the data is about. The validation messages for these two fields are please enter a first name, please enter a last name. I made email and telephone number required validation fields because they're commonly validated fields. It's easy to enter an email address or phone number incorrectly in a form. My validation message for these fields are please enter a valid email address, please enter a valid telephone number, and of course I had several other fields that I validated that fell along the same lines. Here is an example of the bottom half of my application in the I/O simulator. Here's the top half. As you can see, I'm still trying to find a fix for the field set width. It's much narrower than the bottom field set width. But as you can see, I have all my error messages when I left out data. I should have entered a fake telephone number so you could see that it was also checking for a telephone number, but actually I had to comment that out because the I/O simulator, I couldn't find a regular expression to validate. Like I said, it was requiring month name, 3-letter month name, 2-digit date, and 2-digit, no, I think it was 4-digit year. And even though I found some regular expressions testing it, it wouldn't work in the I/O simulator. Here is some display data. In closing, I would like to thank Full Sail University for the use of their logo, GarageBand for the music in the background, and Duarte's 5 Rules presentation template.